throughout the conference, scientific committee members will also be with us. Some of them will join us as the moderators, and one of our scientific committee members, Miss Yasemin İnceoğlu, is with us for many years. She was teaching at Marmara University and Galatasaray University, and she carried out extensive work on hate speech and discriminatory discourse. She worked on the others, hate speech in the media. She widely published on those topics, and for the last 10 years, she has been actively supporting us on the Media Watch on Hate Speech project, as well as the Asulis Lab. So we have greatly benefited from her wisdom and experience throughout the years. So welcome, Ms. İnceoğlu.
Dear colleagues and all participants, allow me to warmly thank the organization committee of this important conference for giving me the privilege of welcoming and addressing you all. I feel honored and privileged to be with you here today at the International Conference on Hate Speech and Discrimination, organized by the Hrant Dink Foundation in collaboration with the Fredrik Naumann Foundation and the Sweden Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Let me first briefly talk about Hrant Dink Foundation and its activities. The Hrant Dink Foundation was established in 2007 after the murder of Hrant Dink, in order to avoid similar suffering and to continue Hrant's dreams and struggles for a more free and just world. And the foundation defines the development of a culture of dialogue, empathy, and peace as the basis of all its activities. And its main principle is democracy and human rights for all, regardless of any differences. And the foundation is conducting many projects and programs to promote coexistence, dialogue, and democracy. For example, Turkey-Armenia program aims to develop the normalization of relations between Turkey and Armenia. And this program brings people together and encourages dialogue in order to increase the direct communication and to promote cooperation between the peoples of the two neighboring countries. And Bolis Institute is conducting a research and activities to reveal the multicultural heritage and the collective memory of Turkey. The 23.5 Hrant Dink Site of Memory takes its name from the article 23.5 April written by Hrant Dink and published in Agos newspaper on April 23, 1996. It's a space that addresses and highlights the importance of the universal values embraced and championed by Hrant Dink, such as democracy, equality, justice, human rights, and freedoms, as well as building a bridge between memory and hope. And founded under Hrant Dink Foundation, Asulis, the Discourse, Dialogue, Democracy Laboratory, has been designed as an interdisciplinary space to engage from the experimental studies and the research in the field of discourse studies to conduct discussions on methods to combat discrimination as well as the discriminatory discourse and its consequences. And the word asulis, which is composed of the combination of the verbs asel, means to say, and isel to listen in Armenian, and commonly used as the conversational chat, was chosen as the name of the laboratory. And this laboratory represents a first in Turkey in terms of an organization to engage in activities on discourse studies, and it confronts discrimination and discriminatory discourses in a variety of contexts, and seeks to create a space that serves human rights, democratization, equality, and pluralism. And the monitoring of hate speech in the media project is a monitoring study conducted since 2009. And since then, the media has accumulated very important knowledge and experience on issues such as hate speech and discriminatory speech. And the project has become a reference work in the field of media and discourse, with its reports, panels, interviews, workshops, etc. that organized. The foundation organized 12 international conferences till now on areas such as history, multicultural heritage, discourse, memory, and human rights, where many academics, field workers, researchers, activists, and civil society representatives and intellectuals were brought together. And in all these conferences, the issues were analyzed and discussed in a very interdisciplinary and multi-dimensional manner. Our conference topic is discrimination and hate speech. As we all know that hate speech refers to any declarations that attack the dignity of people for the mere fact of being part of a specific group or collective. And it is used for discriminating against a person on the grounds of their origin, nationality, sex, sexual orientation, sexual identity, beliefs, ideologies, or any other feature of otherness. So it's also used for justifying a lack of real access under equal conditions to rights in general and citizenship in particular. So there is a broad consensus that hate speech is a genuine problem for the society, and hate speech can inhibit others in their freedom of speech in public debate, and as such impair democracy. And moreover, hate speech can keep prejudices alive, deprive people of their dignity, and cause fear and alarm in the groups it targets. And recurrent hate speech targeting selected groups can serve to legitimize harassment and discrimination, and ultimately violence towards individual members of these groups. So hate speech is a menace to democratic values, social stability, and peace. There does appear to be a broad consensus against these background that hate speech should in some way be prevented and counteracted. So hate speech can also be identified as the expression of intolerance that encourages and paves the way to the hate crimes. The targeted groups are being told that there is no place for them in society, and this message is constantly repeated. So this is a deprivation from the fundamental human rights to life and also to participation. And we all know that the media play an important part in responding to hate speech through promoting equality, non-discrimination, and mostly the right to freedom of expression, which is a cornerstone human rights, and it is its protection for all people depends upon respect for inclusion, diversity, and pluralism. So, how can journalists determine what is hate speech? Some organizations and networks, such as European Journalism Network, Article 19, have put some measures to help the journalists to identify hate speech, to report or not with the required distance, and to avoid any manipulation. Since Aidan White is here with us in the next panel, I believe that he may mention about the measures of ethical journalism network. So I'm moving on to Article 19 organization's 6-part test that consists 6 criteria. What are they? Context of the expression, the speaker, intention, content of the expression, extent, magnitude of the expression, likelihood of harm occurring, including its imminence. And as part of the media monitoring work focusing on hate speech of Ranting Foundation, as we all know, all newspapers and approximately 500 local newspapers are monitored based on the predetermined keywords such as Jew, Muslim, traitor, bigot, refugee by a media monitoring center. So weekday editions of these publications are scanned for news articles and columns containing these keywords and items containing hate speech and thus found. So the categories of hate speech determined by international studies previously conducted in the field of discourse in consideration of the country-specific lingual and cultural differences are as follows, such as exaggeration, attribution, distortion, or the second one is insult, degradation. The third one is enmity, war discourse, and use of, the fourth one is inherent identity as an element of hate or humiliation or symbolization. So we are all aware of the difficulties of detecting and monitoring hate speech and discriminatory discourses spreading through the social media, and also of the risk of legitimizing and reproducing discrimination in real life. So it is very crucial to discuss the methods and examples of the struggle against hate speech and discriminatory discourses, and the responsibility of states, public institutions, traditional means of communication, civil society actors, and international organizations. Since discourse has the power to produce effects well beyond being a neutral instrument for expressing thoughts or describing events, the language used in the media can directly affect social life, escalating social tensions and increasing polarization. So discourse which can be analyzed only in reference to the historical and social context in which it is generated affects the way people make sense of a fact or situation and how they position themselves. And its influential capacity and a relationship with sphere of power makes it necessary to understand the notion of discourse and different types of it, and modes of understanding and making sense, such as prejudice, racism, xenophobia, discrimination, sexism, and homophobia. They all lie behind the use of hate speech, and factors such as the cultural identity and group characteristics influence the use of marginalizing and aggressive discourse, and certain circumstances such as rising nationalism or intolerance against different further increase the impact of hate speech. In Turkey, as all over the globe, we know that hate speech and discrimination against many groups, the others we may call them, the women, the children, LGBTIQ people, individuals, ethnic and religious identities, it's quite common. And political tendencies such as the globally rising nationalism, populism, polarization, anti-refugee and anti-migrant sentiments, they all nurture and popularize the discrimination. A very good example, as it was mentioned in the beginning, in the opening speech, is COVID-19 pandemic. The spread of COVID-19 has created waves of fear, uncertainty, and anxiety across the globe. And this has led to an increase in hate speech. It also increased discrimination against the local Chinese and Asian communities, anti-foreigner sentiments, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, all have spread, and COVID-19 related anti-Muslim attacks have occurred. For example, in USA, George Floyd, he was a victim of a hate crime in USA as he was murdered by a police officer. And since the day after George Floyd's death on May 26th, the rate of the hate speech online in the USA has been nearly 3 times higher than a usual day. But at the same time, there were huge global protests, debates that had the potential to guide many global anti-discrimination efforts and discussions. So keeping this discussion at the international level and approaching by considering their localities and globalities together will not only provide a better understanding of all these issues, but also the development of the most appropriate methods of struggle. We are aware that we need to strengthen coexistence and develop pluralistic, inclusive discourses. So it is of great importance to think and discuss together in determining this need and creating a counter discourse. So this conference aims to create a space where the problems caused by hate speech and discriminatory discourse can be revealed and analyzed, as it was always done in the conferences before. So the efforts for countering hate speech and racism diversify and spread as they become popular in different platforms. With this, our online conference scheduled for today and tomorrow, the civil society representatives, academicians, media workers, journalists, experts will be brought together to create a common platform for discussion and also inspire new academic studies in the future and other methods to counter racism in the field. And it will provide a platform where the country-specific experiences, strategies, and academic studies for countering these problems could be exchanged and potential collaborations developed. So I would like to thank the organization team of the International Scientific Committee for their contributions. And of course, I want to thank the organization committee as I did in the first place, but I want to repeat it again for the committee. They did a great work. And I sincerely hope that the conference will deliberate and discuss all the different facets of this important topic and come up with recommendations that will lead to a hate-free, non-discriminatory, and much more peaceful world. Thank you very much.